Hey everyone, HardlyBriefDan here with episode 12 of our August Game of the Month series. This is Cannon Assault, and today we're going to do several things. We're going to adjust some of the play scene, we're going to work on our big missile some more, and then we're going to work on the high score functions in our GUI, and that will probably be it for this video. We're almost done. It may not seem like it, but we're almost done, and it's good because the month is coming to a close very shortly. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is open up our main menu, GUI function, script, and model develop. And the first thing we're going to add is this exit game. If you remember, we have this button that clicks to exit the game. So if we export this into a exe file, executable file, then we can actually exit the game. And the way to do that is just go application.exit. Oh, not external call, it's .exit. Or excuse me, it's .quit. There it is. And this will quit the game. Obviously, this will not work in Unity because you're in play mode. You haven't actually made the game yet, compiled it, but this will exit your game when you're done. So that was simple, and we crossed something off our list already. So now, when I go ahead and press play, remember we added this little main menu and stuff here, and when you go ahead and play, you can shoot things, and a big bomb drops at 5 seconds. Now, one thing, just playing around, I don't like is the ground. The ground is pretty low. I mean, pretty high up there. I think we need more play space. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and adjust this. I'm going to go ahead and set this back to 0, actually. And I'm going to drag it down to probably -5. And I'm just going to go ahead and edit this value up here like that. I'm going to go ahead and drop this down to -4. Actually, -3. And I'm just playing around with numbers here. 2.5. We want about maybe 2.8. I'm actually, okay. We're going to do this a different way. We're going to go ahead and I'm just going to bring this down like that. I'll go ahead and make sure it's centered. And then we need to make, I wonder why it dropped. I guess, yeah, I like that. What's that at? We're going to go ahead and just round this off at -3. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this down to about right here. I'm going to go ahead and center that at 0. This looked pretty awkward. So we're going to go ahead and set that as 1. We're going to go ahead and bring that down to, I guess, right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and set the cannon barrel. I'm just playing around with the order layers and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and set this to 2, or 0, I think, actually. Yep. And that way it's going to be behind here. We can go ahead and drag that down, and I'm going to go ahead and center that at 0. Everything's going to needs to be centered. There we go. That looks pretty good. Actually, I'm going to put that down. Alright, no. I like that. That looks a lot better, and we're in the main menu. I'm going to control S to save. So let's remember, we had our cannon base here. I'm trying to figure out why. I want it to look like that. Yeah. That looks better. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and actually move this down just a tiny bit more. About right there. Again, this is just personal preference right now. I'm just playing around. I thought the ground was too high up, and we didn't have enough play space. So now that we got that done, I'm going to actually go ahead and go to our. I'm going to write down these values over here in a little sheet just so I remember. So, like, I know the cannon barrel here is at -2.67, and we're going to go ahead and just round that off to 7. So 2.7, -2.7. You could do this too if you want. I'm going to go ahead and put the sky at 1.7 itself. Let's say sky 1.7, and then our base is at -3.1.5 or 1.5. Okay, so again, Control S to save, and I'm going to go into our placing, and I'm going to lower our cannon base here, or excuse me, our I need to actually move that thing back into placing. Alright, well, it's alright for now. Alright, so we're going to move the cannon base down to, what did I say it was? 3.15, I think it was. And then our, see, I already forgot, and I wrote it. I only wrote some of them down. We'll go ahead and back to the main menu. It's alright. Yeah, negative 3.15. And then this actually needs to be in the play objects. And then we have our ground, which is at -5, so we'll go back into our placing. Where's the ground is -5. Come on. -5. Our sky was at 1.7. And I'm going to make sure all these are centered on 0. Okay. Cannon base is centered on 0, and then now we have our cannon barrel, which is at -2.7. And that looks about right. Okay, so now we have this. I'm going to go ahead and Control S to save. I'm going to jump back into our main menu. You see nothing changed, so that's good. And go ahead and press play game. And now you can see we have a little bit more room. It's looking a little, we have more of a play area. And what we're going to do is, as you see that missile that came through, and it the bullets weren't affecting it. So basically, this is how it was last time we had the game. We're killing helicopters. That's great. But what we don't have is, or what we did have is this issue where these bullets were affecting our missile, which is okay, kinda. I don't really want to do that, so we're going to go ahead and click the prefab for big missile and go ahead and click is trigger. And if you remember, we did that for our jet fighter. We're going to go ahead and say big missile is a trigger, and we're going to add a component to it, and it's going to be a script. So jump down into our enemies script folder, and we're going to go ahead and make another C# script, and we're going to call this big missile. I'm going to go ahead and open that up in Mono Develop. I'm going to go ahead and open jet fighter and jet fighter ammo, and that's just so that you can kind of see what we're doing. So jet fighter here is, we have this void on trigger enter collider 2D takes a collider. This is the Unity function method that is needed for trigger events. It looks for trigger events, and basically we're going to be using the same method in our big missile. So I'm going to go ahead and add that here. We don't have this jet fighter point amount, so but you see it's a public int. So we're going to copy that, and we are going to make a point. Not jet fighter, but big missile point amount. And this will be able to be edited in Unity. So we have big missile point amount. Go ahead and copy that. We'll paste it there. And then that's going to be it for now. We're not going to be doing the transform object. We might in a second, because we might have it lerp. Using a transform lerp, I think it is, towards the objects instead of just dropping. If we do that, then we will probably get rid of the gravity. But we'll come back to that in a little bit. So Control S to save. Once you got that open, we can go ahead into Unity and go ahead and press play and play the game. And now, we'll go ahead and we're getting hit by all these helicopters. Oh, and our bomb we missed. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go ahead and press play. Oh, actually it's not going to work, and I didn't miss. It's because we didn't attach the script. So go ahead and attach the big missile script to our big missile prefab, and now it's on there. We can go ahead and say if you kill the big missile, it's going to give you 2,500 points. Click enter, and then we'll go ahead and press play. Now we'll play the game, and now we'll go ahead and start getting some. There we go. There it is, and I killed it, and now we're getting points, which is good. So there's a couple things missing with the general game before we actually get into tuning the enemies, which will probably be this, last 2 videos we do. We need to have a game over scene and excuse me, and then a high score counter. And originally I thought I'd do 10 high scores, but that's so many. We don't need 10. This is a simple game. We're just gonna go ahead and store like 3. So here we go. We have this int array here, and I'm actually going to change it to 3. And that's not how you do size, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3. we're going to go ahead initially and start this. We can actually go ahead and delete this, and we're going to go ahead and start these new high scores at 0, 0, and 0, because you don't have any yet, right? There's a couple things we want to do since we're in this. We wanted to go ahead and display all of our high scores, right? So the way we're going to do this is using GUI labels and a for loop. So we can do this with a function, and we're going to go ahead and just do private void display high scores. And here we're going to go ahead and do a loop. So we're going to go for int I is going to be equal to 0. I is going to be less than our length. So you'll do saved. Oh, it's not seeing it. Come on. I'm going to go ahead and just up here and click it. Saved. High scores.length. So this is 3. In this case, maybe you have a lot more. Maybe you want to store a lot more high scores, and that's cool if you do. But this will just store the 3, right? So you could just put 3 here if you're just going to use 3. If you have 100, then it will be 100, and it will make 100 of these. So what we're going to do is go ahead and copy this GUI label because that's what we're going to be using for the high scores. Going to go ahead and Control S or Control V to paste it. But what we're going to do is instead of showing our high score menu title, we're going to go saved high scores bracket I and then close bracket. So what that's going to do is going to display for every time this loops, it's going to display a high score. Pretty simple. It's going to display whatever index. So if this is 0, then it's going to display the high score that's in 0 index, and then 1 and 2 because we have 3. And remember, arrays count from 0 to 3, 0 to they start at 0. So like this actually counts as 0, 1, and then 2, not 1, 2, 3. It starts at 0. This value here, let's say if this was 1,000, to access that you would say int 0, which points basically to this first place here, which is 1,000, or 0 in this case. Okay, so we have a GUI label. We want it in the center, so we are keeping this value, right? Because if you remember. Going to Control S to save here. If you remember, I'll show it in a minute, but basically we moved our stuff to the center of the screen so it looked a little bit better. And so we're going to actually continue to do that. We're going to keep it in the center, but what we need to do is space it out. So here we have 20. We're going to go ahead and do times I, and then we're going to add 20 to it. So basically this is going to move down every 20. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. Basically it's going to space it out every 20, so basically the first one's going to be 0 times 20, which is plus 20, which is 20. Then it's going to be 20 plus 20, so 40, and it's going to just slowly increment down by 20. And that should be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and Control S to save. We need to actually call this function real quick. So paste it up here under our comments. And let me zoom in for you guys. I apologize that I haven't been doing that. So here we go, just to review, we have our display high score objects function that we're calling in our main menu GUI functions here, and this just makes it a little more clean to look at. We have a GUI label that is the title, which is high scores, and then here we're calling the function we just created called the display high scores, which is a for loop that increments based on the length of our saved high scores array, and then for every increment, for every saved high score, we create a GUI label. We place it in the center in every 20 pixels, and then we display the high score. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, we need to actually go ahead and create one more private array, and it's going to be a string array. And this is going to be high scores labels. We'll call it, high score labels. Okay, and this, since we only have 3, we're going to go ahead and say new string, and we're going to create some labels. And the first one is going to be highest score. The next one we're going to go ahead and do is second high score. And then if you couldn't have guessed, we're going to go ahead. If you didn't guess, it's going to be third high score. Not that. Oh my goodness. 3RD and then high score. All right. I cannot type right now. So anyways, we added this private string array, and it's going to have these high score, second high score, and third high score. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to place these directly to the left. So we're going to do another GUI label. Going to go ahead and copy and paste the one that we just did. And instead of saved high scores I, we're going to go ahead and do our highest score labels I. Right, so it's going to place the high score label plus, and then next to it, it's going to put the score. So what we need to do, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put a colon and then a space so that we have, I'm going to put 2 spaces actually. So we just have some space in between the high score label and then the actual high score. So now what we need to do is actually shift it, and we're going to shift it, we're just going to put it right in the middle. I think this will work. We might run into a spacing issue here. I'm not exactly positive. Let's see. Yeah, actually we're going to go ahead and do minus 150. This will move it to the left. Yep. Because when you get screen high score width, it's actually going to get you the farthest point. So over here at the edge of the screen, and it's going to say, so like in my case it's 1920, and so if you subtract, you know, we're divided by 2, so it's going to go down to like, what was that, 900 and something, right? So it's going to move it here, 970, what is it, 960? Am I wrong? I think I'm wrong. Anyways, like 960, and then we're going to subtract 150 from it, and it's going to move it to the left. So hopefully you get that. So we're going to go ahead and Control S to save. Go into Unity. We got some compiler errors, so let's check it out. GUI label string. There's something wrong with this. Oh, because this is a this is an integer and it needs a string. You can go ahead and just I think you can cast it as a string like that. That's called a cast. And let's see. Can't convert type into string. Okay. So what we'll do is go ahead and do. We're actually going to do this a different way. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this other GUI label. Since we're adding these strings, we can go ahead and just have one line of code. So we'll just do high score GUI label, and then we're going to go add, and then we're going to place our saved high scores, right? So we don't need to call another GUI label function in our for loop. We can just call one giant one. So what this is going to do is for our first high score, it's going to go high score. It's going to put the colon, the 2 spaces, and then it's going to put this saved high score there. Control S to save, go into Unity. That should get rid of our errors, and it did, so that's good. We'll go ahead and press play. Now we go to high scores. You see we have the high scores, and they're actually placed incorrectly, and that is because of this minus 150. We're just going to go ahead and place it in the center. Control S to save, go ahead and press play. So 0, 0, 0, why is it doing that? Let's figure out what's going on. It's starting. Okay, high score. Here we go. They're being placed. I would like to know why these are being placed to the left, right? Because our high score labels should come first. But we're going to go ahead and actually move these minus 150. We're going to move them down to like, I guess let's say 50. We're going to put it actually 100. So we're going to actually lower them. And then we'll go ahead and press play, high scores. There we go. Now, okay, so the issue that we're running into here, the reason why they're below, that's super easy fix. It's because the width of our rectangle is too small. So if you remember, we have, it goes left top width height. So this 100 here is too short. So we're going to make it 250. These are pixels. And so what you'll see is this basically adding length to the invisible rectangle that this data is being displayed in. So go ahead and press play. Go to high scores, and now you see we have high score 0, 0, 0 because we don't have any high scores yet. We're going to go ahead and shift this. I'm going to put it at 100, and this is just me making it look a little bit better. You don't need to do this. Control S to save. I'll go ahead and put that just at 50. High scores. Looks a little better. It's not perfect. We'll leave it at 75, and then I'm going to stop messing with it because I'll be here all day just trying to get it perfect. And this is, I'm playing with pixel values. It's not the best. There we go. It looks a little bit better. We have our high score, second high score, third high score. So now what we need to do is when we die, when our game is over, we need to look at our score and compare it. And that brings us to our game over state, which we haven't actually created yet. So if you go to our menu GUI, we have this game over current menu state, right? And this happens when our player health gets to 0. So what we need to do is go ahead to our, I think it's in our gameplay manager. This is where we keep our current health, I believe, or that might be in stats. See, I forgot. So it's actually in stats. So we'll go ahead and go into our game stats here, and this is where we keep track of our health. Let's see, max health. And what we can do is just go ahead and do a simple if statement in our update function. We'll just go if max, current health, which is here. So if our current health is less than 0, we can change the state. So we'll say if current health, I think let me make sure game stats is in our play scene. Gameplay manager. Yeah, it should be. I'm just double checking. Yeah, it is. Okay. So, sorry about that. So what we're going to say is if current health is less than or equal to 0. Okay. I'm doing the less than because we didn't make catch statements for if the enemy hits us below 0, I don't think. So, yeah. So basically what happens is if the enemy hits us for 1,000 and we're at 800 health, then we'll be at negative 200, and I want the game to be over at that point. So that's what it's a catch-all right here. So it's less than or equal to 0. We're going to go ahead and set current. We're going to have to go application dot load level, and this is going to be our menu scene, right? And so as soon as we load our level, we're going to want to say where is it? Let's see. Current menu GUI functions. Trying to look. Oh, sorry. It's called main menu, and I think before we load this, we can go ahead and do main menu GUI functions. It's going to be our menu GUI dot current menu state is going to be equal to current menu state. Menu states. Here we go. Game over. So I'm going to go ahead and Control S to save this. In our menu GUI, I'm going to go ahead and add a debug statement, and it's just going to be game over. And then what I'm going to do now is jump into Unity, and I'm going to go ahead and change our max health to something really low, so that we die real fast, so we can see if this works. So here I'm on our play scripts, and you see our max health. I'm going to go ahead and set that to like 100. I'm going to go ahead and press play. So now we should die pretty quick, and as you see, we're in our game over state. We're in the menu, and so we're actually no, we're still in our play scene. So it's what it seemed like. I'm gonna go ahead and not max. I just want to make sure that we're actually changing scenes here. So I'm gonna go ahead and press play. We're in our jet fighter scene here. We're gonna die, and now you can see we are now in our main menu scene, and so we're actually going to go ahead into our game over current menu state. This is where we're at, and our current menu state's game over. So what we need to do is go ahead and create another script, and this will be one of the last menu scripts. So go ahead and under menus, game over, we're going to go ahead and create a C# script, and this is going to be called game over menu or GUI functions. We're probably going to do a few extra things in here, like save and check our high scores. We'll be doing that in this script. So, just like we did this menu GUI behavior function, or this menu GUI functions script, we're going to be doing basically the same thing. I'm actually going to go ahead and open up our high score script, high score GUI's function script, because I'm going to go ahead and copy paste a few things. But basically, in our game over scene, we don't need model behavior. And what we want to do is go ahead and display these high score buttons. because we're going to want to do the same things. We're going to go back to our main menu, or we're going to want to go ahead and play the game. At least that's what I think. So I'm going to go ahead and call this function, and you see we have a few things here we need to add. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the high score, the button titles, copy and paste those. We'll go ahead and do that. So we have our play button and our back button. They're here. They're going to be centered. If we play the game, it's going to go to play scene. If we go to the menu, it's going to set our current state in the menu. So I'm going to jump back into Unity, and we're going to test this. Should work. It didn't work. And the reason why, hopefully you guessed it, is because we never called the function. So go ahead and do private, and it's called game over GUI functions. We'll call this game over GUI functions. We'll set this equal to a new instance of it, and then down where we're saying it, under our debug statement, we'll go ahead and call this script. So we'll go game over functions dot, and we're going to look for a script, and what we need to do is go ahead and make a public function. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and get rid of update and start. We'll go private, or excuse me, public void display game over scene menu. So this function is actually going to go ahead and control this method, and we're going to go ahead and display game over buttons. That's what we're going to call this one. Like that. Go ahead and copy that and then paste it over that. So now we're going to call display game over menu in our main menu GUI state manager here. So we're saying game over GUI functions dot game over display game over menu, control us to save, and now we're calling that function. Now I want to go press play. We have an error. Take 0 arguments. Oh, we need this menu style here, which is okay, so sorry about this, but basically we're sending a menu style here, which I forgot to do. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to go ahead and send it menu style. So basically the new function game over it requires a GUI style called menu style, and we're going to send it to our game over buttons, so we can apply the same style throughout the entire program. And so here we get this menu scan dot menu dot get style menu. Oh, we're going to go ahead and copy that and then paste it here. Control us to save. We shouldn't have any errors now, hopefully, and we don't. We'll go ahead and press play. We're going to die here in a second, and now we're in our game over scene, right? So if I go back, we can go to the main menu, and play game. We can play again. So game over menu works. It's nothing pretty. We're going to add a few more things to it just to get it going. I'm going to go ahead and copy this title here. I'm going to paste this under our public void up at the top. We don't want a high score menu, but I'm going to copy that anyways, so we can just rewrite it really quickly. This is going to be called game over menu title. And as you guessed it, it's going to say game over. Copy that and go ahead and replace the high score menu function. So now that we're doing that, it says game over. We know we're over. There's a couple things we need to do, and as soon as we get here, we're going to want to do it once. And what we'll do is go ahead, and we are going to use the void start. It's a capital S, not lowercase. And what we need to do is check our score. So what we need to do is actually in our game stats here, I think we're going to go ahead and add, basically it's going to, I think we'll just save it right away. So as soon as we lose health, we're going to go ahead and save our score. So we're going to go ahead and do a player prefs And this is the Unity version of saving. It saves it on Windows. It saves it in the registry. So you go ahead and do player prefs dot set int, and it takes a key, which is a string, and then it takes a value. And this is going to be current score, not health, current game score. Okay, and the string here is going to, we're actually going to label it current game score. So what this is doing is when our game is over, we're going to go ahead and set our menu state to this. We're going to save our current game score, right? And we're saving it under this tag, and we're going to save our whatever our score value is. And we're going to control S to save that, and then it's going to go ahead and load the main menu. So what we want to do in our start function in our game over scene is go ahead and load that, because I want to display our our game score. So we're going to create a private int, and we're going to say last game, not last game, we want to say game score. And so at the start of this, we're going to go ahead and say game score is going to be equal to player prefs dot get int. Now we're loading it, and it just needs a key, and remember it's current game score was our key. So what this is going to do, it's going to go ahead and go into player prefs. It's going to get this game score. It's going to put it in that game score variable so that we can use it elsewhere. We're going to go ahead and use a label, and we're going to paste it under this, and it's going to be our game score. And we're going to go ahead and say final game score. Like that. So what this is doing, it's going to say final game score, and it's going to have a space, and it's going to put our game score. We're going to go ahead and put this at 50, or no, we're going to set it at actually 100. So control is to save. We're going to go ahead and press play, and our score is 200 right now. And okay, so I didn't save it. It seems like. Thinking, let me make sure that we're actually saving it in our game stats here. It might be doing it too fast, maybe. Current game score, we're saving that. Yep. Let's go ahead and check. We'll go ahead and run it again. We should get 200 in that scene, and it's not doing it. So we're going to go ahead and let's say current game score. Maybe we have it under the different tag. Maybe I got that wrong. We'll check that. Gameplay manager, or it's under game stats. We'll go ahead and copy this. Just make sure it's the same. Looks the same. Looks like it's just not carrying over, which is okay. There's another thing we can do since it's a public static. We can go ahead and create another public static. And that might be better. I think what's happening is that it's trying to do it too fast. So what we'll do is, not in the start function, go ahead and do Control S. What we'll do is say public static, or in our game stats, instead of saving, by the way, that is how you save information. What's happening is it's just changing it can't save it fast enough, I believe. So what we're going to do is go ahead and, instead of setting it, we're going to go ahead and just say game over GUI functions dot game score is going to be equal to our current game score. I'm going to go ahead and press play, and now let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. So go ahead and play a game. We'll go ahead. Oh, we missed it. Hopefully I can get one. Okay, so our score. Yep, there we go. So we're getting our score, and you can see final game score. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and space this out, or we're going to go ahead and adjust the game over scene just a tad. I want to make this a little longer. I'm going to make it 250 just so the whole thing shows up there. Actually, we'll go ahead and make it 300 just in case. And I'm actually going to, what we'll do now is, I think I'm going to end the video here. In the next video, we'll go ahead and finish up the high scores, and then we'll definitely go into fine-tuning our enemies and getting the last enemy in there once I get the artwork done. So basically today we added the game over scene. We started messing with the high scores. You saw how to save. We're not using that just yet, but we will save these high scores later. You see how we're using a for loop down here to display multiple things, multiple labels. It's a real quick way to do it, and we adjusted our game scene. So hopefully you like the video. Please like, subscribe, comment. You can follow me on Twitter or Facebook. I also have a Twitch account where I live stream sometimes. I've live streamed once already. So go ahead and follow those if you want. Also, I'm going to be posting a poll, and this is for the September game of the month. So here is the poll. You'll see the link in the description below. Basically, you can pick first-person shooter, platformer, point-and-click adventure, or puzzle game, or other. If you choose other, please either leave a comment or tweet at me at HardlyBriefDan, or leave a Facebook comment, or message me on YouTube. Somehow get a hold of me and say the other type of game you want, if you want other. But just remember, keep in mind, this is going to be a simple game, so all these are not going to be complex, okay? Because we're going to get another game done in September. So anyways, this will be in the link description below. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll talk to you guys next time.